Okay, the next page is something that I found very interesting, especially when it came to doing a lot of translation work as I started doing the research for the book, because it was the location that takes place in Belarusia and parts of the Ukraine. It's called the Western Language Advantage in World War II. The Western Allies had a significant advantage of having two of its major combatants, Great Britain and the United States, speaking the same language. A significant number of British officers also spoke French, as did some of the US forces, and a significant number of them also spoke German. On the Eastern Front, the Red Army had a far more difficult time with languages. Because of the 70 nationalities that make up the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, communication amongst the Red Army units was at times fraught with difficulty and misunderstanding, resulting in mistrust, delay, and unnecessary casualties. Here's the interesting part, the German language disadvantage. The Germans, up until 1943, did not suffer significant linguistic problems. The Wehrmacht, especially the early Waffen-SS divisions, being made up almost entirely of ethnic Germans. After 1943, when combat losses demanded the inclusion of non-German speaking foreign nationals, they began to suffer language communication difficulties. The German armed forces and the Waffen-SS were not the only ones inconvenienced by the number of languages, and they were forced to use in managing their people. In the armaments factories in the Reich and occupied countries, especially after 1944, the number of languages used required a staff of translators to work at each location to translate orders from the German management to its workers. In the aircraft industries, especially, this was especially taxing, as the need to translate highly technical terms that in a very complicated language into a foreign language. We had a similar problem with the Navajo code talkers, if you're familiar with that portion of the they could not translate the word oscilloscope into Navajo, but they came up with something that was just as so this is sort of was inspired by that kind of the Navajo code talking, and I did some research back into, we assume that everyone understands everybody because in the movies everything is either subtitled or translated. Try that out in the field with a whole bunch of guys like in the German division, 2 from Romania, 3 from Bulgaria, 4 from Russia that are captured, 6 guys from hometown Germany, and no one can talk to each other. You really can't plan much of an operation when you have that kind of problem. Okay, any questions so far on the 2 small topics? All right, we'll move right along.